Hi, Julia. We hope that you are recovering and get back soon with us. We are talking about where we were before the break, and it seems like we had accomplished day 1 on chapter 6. I handed back the test, so remember to ask for yours when you come in next. Find your day 1 notes. Is it the one with the Apgar babies on it?
Apgar.
Okay.
Apgar.
All right, so let's review what we were talking about at that point, and we'll go on and do our day 2 notes. This is a long chapter, so this chapter, the day 1 notes is going to seem like a distant star in the Milky Way when we get to the end of the mod. So what should you do about that? I think you should maybe look at your day 1 notes every day, even when you're not required to, just so it doesn't look so odd and you've forgotten it by the time we get to the end of this chapter. Lots of ideas in this chapter. They're all related. They should be grouped together in this chapter, but there's a lot. So by the end, you may not remember much about day 1. So I recommend that you study a little bit. Just look at your day 1 notes every day. And then look at your day 2 and 1 every day. And then 3, 2, and 1. And that way it stays fresh. We were studying a random variable. Let's review what it is. We called it X. Very creative, aren't we? We called it X. It's a random variable. It's like a capital X. And there were 2 things that had to exist for there to be a random variable. There had to be some sort of random process. And therefore, we had to have some kind of outcomes. Remember, in the general sense, we would say x1, the first outcome, x2 is the second outcome, x3, and so on. And we also had to have probabilities. So the probability associated with the first outcome was P1, and the probability associated with the second outcome is P2, etc., etc., etc. So that's all a random variable was. And so we went on and we came up with the mean of a random variable, use of x, which we also called the expected value, which we actually calculated. So let's remind ourselves how we calculated the mean of a random variable, and then actually calculate one. I'll give you a scenario. So it turned out that you take the outcome and multiply it by the probability, and then add the second one by its probability, and we get the expected value after many, many trials. So let's look at this example and see if you can calculate the expected value, or I might say the mean of the random variable. I could say it 2 different ways. All right, so let's say it's Friday. Wouldn't that be nice?
This morning before I got to school, I was like, I'm ready for the weekend.
I know. It is sad, isn't it? It was something really sad. The teachers are in there looking in their calendars when the next day was off. It says, we're the teachers. And then Miss Ng showed me a little comic that she found this morning, and there was this husband trying to get or this man, you didn't know it was a husband. This man was knocking on this door and says, honey, you've got to get to the school. And she said, oh, why do I have to go to school? Because you're the teacher. So that's how we feel too. All right, let's look at finding the expected value. Oops. Expected value is just simply following this formula. So let's say it's a Friday, and in the first couple hours on the Friday, this chart was so easy I didn't copy it for you, so you're going to have to write it on I'll actually give you day 1 notes, day 2 notes. You can put this on there because we're going to go right from this example into day 2 notes. So
Did you want to 9B and 10B from?
no, we kind of run over that orally together on Friday, so you can keep that. which our main goal back then was finding the expected values, so we're kind of reviewing that now. It's the first couple hours of the day, and the day is Friday. And I want to know how many cars are sold. So the random variable x is the cars sold during the first couple hours on a Friday. So there's been data kept on such things. So cars sold. Remember, a random variable has outcomes. So I'm going to give you those outcomes. There could be none, 1, 2, and the most that has been sold to record on the first couple hours on a Friday is 3. And what's the probability? Having kept records over many Fridays, we have probabilities. So the probabilities that match these events are on a Friday morning. The probability of selling no cars is 0.3, 1 is 0.4, 2 is 0.2, and 3 is 0.1. Is that legit? Is that a legit probability distribution there? They add up to 1. So, and there's no probabilities that are negative or greater than 1. So we're happy. So I want you to calculate what we call the expected value or the mean of this random variable. So would you take out your calculators and calculate, find use of x. So the formula for it is right here. And that's the only thing we have really covered so far in this chapter. Find use of x. Are you grabbing each x of 1, x of 2, x of 3 and multiplying it by its probability? So you're doing 0 times 0.3 and then the plus sign, 1 times 0.4 and so on. 2 times 0.2, and I don't know what it is. Anyone got it? I wrote down the list, but I didn't write down what it was.
1.1.
1.1, anyone confirm?
I confirm.
Okay, so if you multiply that out, you should get 1.1. Let's write down in words what that means. You know how our texts and our tests and the AP test likes to say, interpret that in context. So let's interpret that in context. The expected value. This means over many Fridays, we expect 1.1 cars to be sold. I hate to be the guy who gets the 0.1 of a car.
Wouldn't you just round down?
That's statistics for you. We don't really round down on an expected value, but everyone knows you can't buy 0.1 of a car. But that's
If you want to buy a part of a car, like you need a part.
Yeah, that's true. But usually don't go to the new car dealer to buy it,
Yeah.
you know.
Maybe like they fixed a car and they put another, they bought the new car and they fixed
So
it
put some
again.
options on it.
And they had to fix like a part of the new car.
Okay.
That
All right.
makes sense.
So this has been so far all we've learned in chapter 6, and here we're studying center because it's a mean. So today I'm going to graduate to spread. So you can see on the day 6 notes, chapter 6, day 2 notes that came out, we're going to be looking at standard deviation. So I will erase this and teach you how to do standard deviations as soon as you've gotten that down. So we're done with center. Just be able to ask, be able to do this kind of thing. So I'm going to leave that example up, but you know what it is, so I'll erase the description, I'll erase the calculation, I will put the result there though, and I will erase the interpretation and context. All right, so now we're going to graduate and we're going to study we're going to study not the expected value, but the variance of a random variable. So there wasn't much for me to copy on your paper, so you can just take notes there. Variance of a random variable. And just like before when we've had we had other kinds of data, when we calculated the variance, we could easily get the standard deviation as well.
Oh, how long have we been recording?
For at least 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah, I sent my stuff also.
Did you stop it?
Where are we about in time, do you think?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. All right, thank you so much. So maybe we can stop now, we can start standard deviation and variance in one section. So.
Okay.